Alright, let's start this off with a question. If the USA and China were in a race, who would win? Well, if it's a race to the moon, China might have a slight edge. But if it's a race to the coffee shop for the best latte, then America might have a bit of a head start. So, what happens when two of the biggest countries in the world go head-to-head? It's more than just speed. It's a showdown of economic power, cultural influence, military might, and technological innovation. Let's break it down. USA versus China. When it comes to the economy, the USA and China are like two heavyweights in a boxing ring. The US economy is the largest in the world, with a nominal GDP of around $26 trillion. The US is a hub for finance, technology, and consumer goods, with Silicon Valley as the world's tech capital. Meanwhile, China has been catching up fast. With a GDP of about $18 trillion, it's the world's second largest economy, and growing. In fact, some say China's economy might overtake the US by 2030. But that's like predicting whether a runner will break the finish line tape first. It's still anyone's race. Now, let's talk about manufacturing. The US might have Apple, but China has the factories where the iPhones are made. It's no surprise that China is known as the world's factory. With vast networks of factories, China produces everything from clothes to electronics. The US, on the other hand, is shifting more toward a service-based economy, with tech and finance leading the charge. But don't count the US out just yet. America's still the king of innovation, with companies like Tesla, SpaceX, and Amazon driving the global market. Which brings us to technology. The US is home to some of the world's most recognizable brands: Apple, Google, Microsoft, and more. But China? Well, China has been rapidly catching up. Huawei, Alibaba, Tencent, these giants are not just competing on a global scale, but they're changing the tech landscape. China's government has invested heavily in areas like AI, 5G, and quantum computing. You know, those sci-fi things that are becoming real-life innovations. But the big question is, who will dominate the future? The US or China? Tech wars are only just beginning. When it comes to military power, both nations are top contenders. The US military is widely regarded as the most powerful, with a global reach and advanced tech. In fact, the US has military bases all over the world. Talk about international influence. But China's military is growing fast, and they've been investing in advanced technologies like hypersonic missiles and artificial intelligence. China's sheer size gives it the manpower to back its ambitions. A showdown between these two military powers? Well, let's hope we never have to find out. But it's not all about money and guns. Political influence plays a huge role too. The US has long been a champion of democracy, though that's been complicated in recent years. China, meanwhile, operates under a one-party system and exercises its influence through initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative, an ambitious plan to build infrastructure and trade networks across the globe. The US still holds sway in international organizations, but China is steadily growing its influence, especially in Asia and Africa. Now here's where things get really interesting: culture. The US is the birthplace of Hollywood, jazz, and social media. Pop culture icons like Beyoncé and Marvel movies transcend borders. And let's not forget about that classic American fast food. You know, the one with the golden arches. But China is bringing its own cultural wave. With the rise of Chinese cinema, music, and cuisine, more people around the world are being exposed to Chinese culture. Even Chinese companies are dominating industries like e-commerce and gaming. In fact, China's influence is growing faster than you can say Tencent. Let's not forget the planet itself. Both the US and China are top greenhouse gas emitters, but they're also facing pressure to make their economies greener. The US has rejoined the Paris Agreement, signaling its commitment to tackle climate change. Meanwhile, China has pledged to reach carbon neutrality by 2060. The real question is, who will lead the charge in renewable energy innovation? If the future of the planet were a race, we're all in the same race together. So, USA or China? Well, it's not an easy answer. These two nations may compete in almost every arena, but they also share a deep interconnection, whether in trade, technology, or even culture. Some may argue one is better than the other, but the truth is, each country brings something unique to the global stage. The real winner might just be, well, the world itself. What do you think? Which one will come out on top in the long run? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, remember, whether you're in the USA, China, or anywhere in between, we're all part of the same global race. Keep running.